Bright QT. Every student matters.
Hello, dear students. Welcome to another lecture. In this class, we are going to continue with Swami and Friends written by R.K. Narayan, which is a part of Class 11th English Nagaland Board. Now, in the previous lectures, we've discussed about the detailed summary of the entire story, Swami and Friends. In this video, I shall talk about the themes of this novel, followed by the character sketches as well as some of the important questions. So, without much ado, let us begin with the theme of this novel. So, the first theme of this novel was innocence and irony. Now, since we are talking about kids, so innocence is something that has to be there for sure. We are talking about a boy who was 7 years of age. His name was Swami. He did not understand anything about the maps and about politics or about the national movements and nothing about money. There was a lot of tension, that was there in Swami's mind that could be seen throughout the story. And because of the innocence that he was dealing with, there was a sense of irony. For example, when Swami was planning to run away into the woods, he thought that he was on the main road to come back to his house. The narrator told us that he was not on the way to the correct road, but he had actually lost himself and that he was astray. He was totally lost. Then there was certainly colonial domination that we have seen. The nationalists, the people, who were crowding outside Swami's house, who were running outside Swami's house, and even the school that Swami was studying in, because he was totally, he did not know about all the movements that were taking place and how he himself became a part of the riot. There were people who started burning things because they thought that it belonged to British, that it was American, it was English, and how, we saw Mr. Ebenezer having kept the British goods over the British gods, Jesus Christ over the Hindu gods, and all these things continue to have their dominance in the story throughout. Then we also saw the mythology in the story very prominently. We saw how there were, when we talk about Malgudi, so this river Sarayu, the sense of folk that belonged and that hailed in Malgudi has been very clearly notified there, that has been very clearly talked about in the story. Then patriarchy. Yes, indeed, Swami was always, authoritated by men in his life, whether his father or the village or the school headmaster from both the mission school as well as the board school. Swami was always afraid of these men, and he always looked out for approval from these men. He got very happy when his father invited him to join to the club with him. On the other hand, we have also seen how Swami's mother and grandmother totally relied upon Swami's father for everything. His mother would bring him coffee and sugar as the afternoon snack, and how his grandmother was always listening to what Swami's father would say. So this patriarchy has been shown in the story throughout. The next theme that we came across in the story was belonging, community, and competition. Now, belongingness is something that Swami was looking for throughout his life. It shows how Swami wanted to be known among his group of friends. How, when Rajam arrived, he was afraid that he might lose his friends and the group that he was surrounded by. He was also disappointed when his other friends started calling him as Rajam's tail. So this is how Swami was always running behind being belonged by everybody else around him. Boyhood, certainly, we are talking about the boys in this story. There is no man, there are only boys. Swami and his friends, the kind of revelations that they make, the kind of experiences that they have in their everyday lives, everything was related to, connected with the boys, and was very innocent and immature. Then the other theme was oppression and escape. Now, for Swami, he was always scared of, as we have talked about, the man, the men in his life, and he was always oppressed by them, and he was always making plans to run away from them, be it his father or the headmaster of the boat school or even the mission school. So he was always oppressed, he was always looked down upon by them, and he was always making an effort to have an identity of his own. And that was probably the reason why he, at the end, even ran away from the boat school. Then another theme that we have in the story was work. Now, Swami was obviously at work the entire day, the entire life, at school, and thereafter also doing whatever little work that he could. After doing the work, also, the only thing he heard from his father were the harsh words. He never was happy and was appreciated for anything. Then we talked about how Swami was, he showed courage the only time in his life when he broke the pains of the mission school, that too in the shadow of the crowd that was outside, and for that as well he was punished. Okay, so these were the themes of the Swami and friends. Let us now talk about the major characters. We have Swami. He was the central character of this story. He is also the main character of the story. He was a child who would go to the school. He did not like to study and would get bored very easily. He was an honest boy, 7 years old, but on the other hand, he also did not hesitate in sharing his feelings with his father. He loved his grandmother and the stories that were narrated by her. He was a good cricketer, and that is why he was given the nickname Tate. Then we've seen how he became bold in the later part of the story, and he was known and recognized by the other people. The next character we have in the story was Swami's father, who was a lawyer by profession. He was very rigid, he was very strict, he was an authoritarian, but he cared about his family a lot. He was worried about the studies of his sons, and he always encouraged them to work hard. Though he was strict, but we have seen that he was very concerned for the well-being of his sons. Then we have Swami's mother. Swami's mother was the one who was in charge of the house and took care of Swami. She looked after Swami's everyday concerns. She defended Swami. She fought for Swami with his father. However, she has been described as a very normal woman. She was somebody whom Swami missed the most when he ran away from the house. Then next we have Swami's grandmother. Swami's grandmother has been described as a very sweet lady who loved to sleep and tell stories to Swami about, herself and about how the day had been. She was very religious and she told Swami the stories about her past. Her relationship with Swami was very beautiful and that changed with the progress of novel. Swami's young brother, the baby brother that Swami had, he was Swami's sibling. He was born in the middle of the novel, and after his birth, he obviously caught the attention of the entire family. Swami also gradually developed feelings for his brother. However, obviously, his role was not that important because he continued to be a child throughout. Mr. Ebenezer was Swami's scripture teacher at the mission school. He was Christian and he always degraded the Hindu religion, the Hindu God, and considered Christianity to be superior to all the other religions. He was scolded by the headmaster when Swami's father wrote a letter to the headmaster. Then we have Rajam. Rajam was the new kid at the mission school, and he was a very good friend of Swami in the later stages. Rajam was very good in studies. His father was a police superintendent. He spoke English like a European, and he was always nicely dressed. He was fearless and was the cricket team's leader. He was the captain. Mani was another true and close friend of Swami, who has been described, as we read, as a mighty good for nothing boy. He was very strong, he was very bold, but he was not good at studies, and he liked to fight and challenge everybody for the same, even the teachers. Mani liked to dominate the whole class and also bully, tease a few of his classmates. Next, we have Somu. Somu was Swami's school friend. Again, he was the monitor of Swami's class and he carried himself in a very confident manner. Sankar was again Swami's classmate. He was the most intelligent, the brilliant boy of the class. Sankar was admired by everybody for his brain and for his intellect. And we have seen that Sankar later on moved out of Malgudi because his father was transferred. Samuel, who was nicknamed as the P, was Swami's classmate and friend. Swami and P were close friends until the P changed his school. Now they both remained good friends since they played cricket together, and he was Christian by religion. So these were the major characters of the Swami and friends.